All right, we're recording. All right. Excellent. So if you can go into Google Classroom, good morning, good afternoon, I guess, sorry. It was just a little crazy today. Now I got to sign back into Google. This is really starting to suck. Apologize. This stuff was all working just hunky-dory not that long ago. All right. You see this guy that says access code in our Google Classroom? So what basically happened is usually we have, if you remember, did you guys log in at all last time? Yeah, I didn't meet with you guys, did I? Or did I? No. So last time we logged in, did you guys get into Cengage MindCap? You didn't? I did. Okay, some of you did, everybody did? Okay, so the idea was, and then you remember at one time it said you have 6 days or 4 days or whatever. So usually what they do is they give you these things, they're called passcodes, access cards. We never got them. These are from last year, so these are old. So I'm like, all right, I saw an email, we're supposed to be using this, no one got back to me. So I'm like, okay, well, at least we'll use these or something like that. Well, this morning it doesn't work that way. We can't use, these are like old workbooks that are just obsolete. We got to throw them away. I'm holding on to them for just in case. They said to use this register link. So we copy that into our URL and then we log in, and you might have to register again. And then you put that course key in, copy and paste that in, and it should work, and they shouldn't have to worry about the act. That is our act. This is it. This is it. So go ahead. I can't do it because I've already done it. So what you want to do is copy that into your URL. Do the URL first, and then copy that course key. If it does it ask for a course key right away? What's that ask for? Yep. So you guys at home, I'm talking to people on home that are going to be watching this tomorrow. You will copy and paste this, and then it'll ask you for your course key, which you copy and paste in, and then what's it say after that, Cody? Oh, just paste it. Now what? Student ID is just your ID, 296408 or whatever your ID number is. Doesn't even matter. Then you hit, it's just a number that they can keep you. It says you already have it and whatever. Okay. It says you already have the NGYS. Yep. Now, do you have 2 classes? Period 1 or period 1? Oh, crap. Should have gave you the, well, I don't think it matters. Is period 5? Can you get in there? All right, yeah. Well, we just want to do homework in one of them. I just gave you the period 1 course key. Son of a biscuit. So just go to period. No, we're in period 1 already, right? No, we're period 5. Yeah, go to period 5. Just click on the period 5. This is period 1s. So those of you that are working at home, which I just screwed up again, I gotta go get the course key for, copy. Okay, there. So period 1, you'd want to use that one. Period 5, you would use this one. So hopefully all is well. But as long as you can get in, I think that way now you don't have to worry. Maybe you bookmark that, however you want to do it. They were, this morning, they were not allowed to do anything because it said the access was not possible due to the days were limited.
So I contacted them, and then they said, I go, I never got any access cards. Are you going to send them, or can you extend this, or manually I give them a key? They said, no, just do this. So hopefully it worked. So just go into 5th period like you're supposed to. We have to do it again next time, hopefully, or not. But if you have any problems, you go into class, the access code's there, and you should be able to access it just fine. Okay? All right. But I think we shouldn't have to do it anymore. You should be able to just go to that Cengage, go to that NG, LSY, whatever, and you should be able to do it. You don't want to go to Cengage. You should be able to go into this, and it should work. So like when I go to accounting, I don't go to Cengage at all. I go to this, and I just log in. I don't know if I'm already in there. Yeah. All right. Okay, I just had to get that off to Greta. Sorry. All right. What we want to do is we're in period 5. Hopefully, and you guys at home, some of you guys will be in period 1, some of you will be in period 5. Hopefully, you're able to go over some of this. Do we need to go over? Were you able to do anything in the class when I wasn't here last week? Did you do any of the notes, or should I go over that with you? I can go over it with you quick. I just got to change. All the highlights are in a different class. Okay. What we could do, so a little bit about the class. This is when you click, these are all little down arrows, or you just click on it and it goes up and down. In chapter 1, there's a lot of information. This is the online book, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay. At the end of each section is lessons. We will do the working papers. Did anybody do the work together? None of you did? Okay, so that's all right. That would be where the working papers are. And each section has one. There's terms review you can use to practice, audio understanding or questions like you would get in the end of a section. And then the working papers has both a work together and an on your own. What we used to do is I would do the work together with you. You guys would do the on your own, like with the, you'd have a big class, so you'd be sitting there next to a bunch of people, and you'd be doing your on your own. Well, and then we'd do that by yourselves. We're not going to do the on your own. Now, can you do the on your own? Absolutely. You can do it. I'm not going to ask you to. We'll do the work together. Then you'll take that information and you close out the X over here on the right. And then after that, after you're done with the work together, you will do the application problem. Where do you see the application problem? Under apply your understanding. There's application problems. There's application 1.1 means over section 1. 1.2 means over section 2. 1.3 over section 3. 1M is the mastery problem. I've closed the challenge problem, some of those things, just so that we don't have the time this year. Under study hall, there is a ton of information. There's a little summary, flashcards that are vocab, very helpful. True false quiz, completion activities, they're like fill in the blanks, multiple choice, so that you're able to get more practice. We will often ask you to do those the day before the test, the day of the test, just to kind of review for 5-10 minutes before we take it. And then the study guide we'll do often. Okay, study guide has a term section, a true false section, some problem section, maybe something fun section. Okay. Sometimes in our class we might say the mastery problem is the test if we get way behind, or we have a snow day or something crazy or whatever. But often we will do work together, application problem, study guide, mastery problem, test. We just got to break it up into 3 weeks. And for those of you guys again that weren't here last week when I was in here, I wasn't here, I kind of gave you a timeline here of we want to be through certain sections. Now we got to, you can go ahead. Sorry, I didn't bring it. I don't know if I went through it. I'm not used to the 2 garbage can thing, sorry. We got to go but we actually have class on Friday, correct? So we're not too bad. So what we'll do is we'll make sure you're comfortable with 1-1. Is that what you're telling me? You need a little bit of time and help with that? And then we'll maybe start 1-2. We'll see how it goes. And then Friday we can do 1-3 and get started on the other. We got time since we're the extra class this week. Okay, so no problem. But this is kind of just a little review. And basically what we're trying to say is, in theory, perfect world, we take about 3 weeks to do a chapter, which means we probably don't get 16 chapters in a year. We depending on some of them we might cut out more, or some take longer. We got reinforcements that take a while. We might only get through 6 or 7 chapters instead of 8 or 9 in a semester. We'll cut out some of the activities, and that's okay. That's just the way it's going to be this year under these circumstances. Okay, so let's scroll back up to 1-1 and this lesson 1-1 accounting section. For those of you that already got it, you're going to be good. This will be a little bit of review. Those of you that haven't, you can kind of fast forward the video if you have. But here's what I'm going to tell you about this section. Why I'm highlighting things. I'm highlighting things again, and we're just getting to the role of accounting. Okay, so this would be how you move around. Make sure you move these buttons so that you're in the right section. The arrows. Role of accounting. All right, so we're just going to go through this section real quick with you. What I'm doing is I'm highlighting important things that are on this section, whether it be test questions, problems, study guides, things like that, ways to understand a little better. And so what I'm going to be giving you is this information. So how do you do it? You can always use your book. This is our book, right? You can use this on the test. You guys, we just asked them, you don't sit next to anybody. You can log into 2 computers. You can have one computer have the book, the other one have the test. You can log into 2 computers and one have the book and one have your problems up. I don't care. The fact that you have so much room, you could do that. But what I usually do is the yellow is usually for problems, understanding, study guides, and the red is for all that and 100% sure test, not just maybe. Okay, so there'll be a couple different things. You can use whatever colors you want, and you don't have to highlight. Excuse me. You don't have to highlight. You do have to highlight. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm doing it because I'm telling you, you can use it and do it on the test. Okay. All right. Role of accounting. There's a video that we're not going to show because we don't want to be too close to time, but Michael Delgado is going to be our example this semester. And then we have a ladies corporation second semester. Can't remember right now because then we had so many days off because of Corona. But anyway, Michael's going to be doing a company, web design, computer type company, just starting out. All right. So when they're talking about the role of accounting, what's the role of accounting basically mean? It means that how do you decide, like for their example they give you about a local band, how do you decide how much money you could spend, how much profit you can make, how much expenses you have, the revenue coming in. That's all counting verbiage. Okay, that's all thinking about revenue, expenses, income statement, balance sheet, assets over liabilities. You need to have more money than bills. That's all accounting. Okay, and people with accounting backgrounds make better decisions in business than those that don't, when they're talking about the numbers. Okay, a lot of times you want to have data to help report things. You're going to be needing specific forms. The government or lawyers might need specific things done, and so we do things in a way that hopefully will make easy transitions of financial statements, like Chapter 8 for us. Okay, it'd be easy for investors or owners or department managers, whoever, to understand, make good decisions, maybe make better decisions in the future. Okay, so that's the idea behind accounting. So what is accounting? It's the language of business. Okay, and that's what this is. Just like any business, it has its own terminology. It has. It's the way it's used will be used in other financial aspects you take. If you go into any kind of business major in college, you ought to take accounting 1 and 2. So you'll have to take, like, you want to be a sales, you want to go into human resource, you want to go into management, you want to go into marketing, retail, any of those things, accounting, finance. You're going to need accounting 1 and 2. So it's the language of business. A lot of things that are used in this verbiage-wise will be used in other classes. Understanding these in accounting will take you further into your businesses. How to use data, how to accurately make records. If you don't accurately make records, your business could fail, that kind of thing. Okay, but accounting is often referred to as a language of business. What is accounting? Accounting system are very similar. Okay, accounting is a term you'll see on the test. That's why it's pink. Doesn't mean that this isn't information that's important. This is very helpful for us. But this is a term that you for sure need. Accounting's process planning, recording, analyzing information, interpreting financial data. The accounting system is the act of doing this accounting and running reports and summarizing that stuff. Okay, so accounting, the process, planning, recording, analyzing, interpreting financial data. We are going to learn how accounts are adjusted, how they're used, how they're being moved. Increasing cash, decreasing the liability, increasing accounts payable, increasing the sale, how that affects, each transaction affects other things. So we're going to be figuring that out by using this accounting system, this process of what accounting is all about. Once we do all that, like we mentioned before in Chapter 8, we'll take all that information, these records, these summaries, these journal entries, this analyzing, and we'll summarize the financial condition in reports called financial statements. Accounting 1 keeps it pretty simple. We do a statement of owner's equity, a balance sheet, and income statement. Okay, those are our statements. All right, we're doing everything online, so that's pretty easy. All right, accounting and personal life. So to get started, we need to understand what things are worth, what is a value, what's not a value, and kind of figure it out. So what they first start us out in is this really simple net worth statement. That's what we'll do in our problems for this section. What is a net worth statement? It's a report, shows how much you as an individual own as a person, like what do you have of value? Cash, cars, land, buildings, jewelry, houses, whatever. Things of value. For Michael Delgado, business, supplies or merchandise is a value, right? If you own a hat store and you buy $10,000 worth of hats, hats are yours, right? That's your stuff. That's worth your value. So your supplies are good. Your accounts receivable, somebody owes you money, they might charge you. That's an asset. Insurance is an asset, right? People have insurance, it's great. Costs money, it's an asset. Cash obviously is an asset. Petty cash, so those are our assets. Okay. Anything of value is what we're considering to be an asset. And they give you examples there. Anything that we owe is a liability, rent expense or mortgage payment, cell phone, telephone expense, utilities expense, prepaid insurance expense or whatever, supplies expense. There's different expenses, right? You might advertise expense. You might have a repair expense, whatever the case may be. But these are liabilities. You might also, Michael Delgado's a web designer. He buys things. He has like a art department, be creative and help him with his web, with his web page or graphics. He might charge them. He might go, hey, do this project for me. Tell me how many hours you work and charge me, bill me for it. All right. So when they bill them, that's a liability. An amount owed is a liability, right? So anything we owe is going to be a liability. Examples of liability are car loans, credit card bills, what we charge at a store. Okay. What this net worth statement basically is saying is all the money that you make, assets, all the things you have, minus all the things you owe, the difference between personal assets and liabilities, that's your personal net worth. Okay. The net worth of yourself, the larger the number, it reflects the higher the net worth, obviously. In business, net worth is also called equity. Equity is the difference between assets minus liabilities. They'll always word it when you take liabilities away from assets. Total assets, if I have $10, I owe $2 to somebody, I now have $8. That's your money, right? Basic terms. Okay, equity is kind of like if you've ever heard the term sweat equity before. So if you sweat and put your own energy, sweat and tears into it, you are invested, you put sweat equity into this. Okay, and so equity is, for our purposes, Michael Delgado is a sole proprietor, right? He owns his own company. Nobody else owns it. It's his. So all the money he makes from this company is his. That's his equity. It's his net worth. Okay, so for this thing, personal net worth statement, this is going to be what we do and work together. We have this form where it's going to either show positive or negative net worth based on if they have more money, more assets than liabilities. Okay, a negative net worth would mean they'd have more debt than assets. That would be bad. And if you're a business, you would want that. And if you're a bank, you wouldn't loan money to somebody who has more problem, right? They wouldn't. You shouldn't give. It'd be bad for your company to give out loans to people that can't pay them back. So in this heading, you have who, what, when. Whoever the person is, what is it? Net worth statement. When is it? End of the month or beginning of the month, or I think our problems say current date. They have a section on assets where it has a heading and a total assets. You list them in between, no random order, just random order. They'll tell us. Liabilities section is the second one where we have a heading, liabilities, total liabilities. We add them up. And then the net worth is the assets minus the liabilities. All the money we have, all the things we owe, or own, minus all the things we owe. Down here at the bottom, it says assets minus liabilities equals net worth. So it tells you. Okay. A lot of times we will skip this stuff in between, so we won't do that. Although you do need to know these two in ethics because they're on the test, so you might want to highlight them. The first ethics we skip, but the ethics in business, they're just saying, how do you decide right and wrong, make decisions, and that's ethics. Doing these right and wrong decisions to be a better individual while practicing business is business ethics. Okay, pretty simple, but something that's on there. We won't worry about written communication, and we're done. Okay, so you can use that section on the test. Like I said, when you got room, you can log in. On Friday when we're doing problems, you can have a computer with the book up. You can have a computer with your problems, and you can be working, and you can be, that way you're not flipping around so much, whatever you want to do. That is 1-1, okay? Let's look at the end of lesson to 1-1. So how do you got to get out of there, close that X in the top corner, and then go to down here where it says working papers. Work together. Okay, so we got directions up here, yeah? It says Megan Finder, a recent college grad, is applying for her first credit card. The creditor has asked for personal net worth. Make sure you're in 1-1, work together, right? Some of you are in 1-2. If you worked ahead, that's fine. But make sure you're in section 1-1, lesson 1-1. So it lists a couple assets, lists a couple liabilities, says complete the net worth. So who is this? Well, who is it? What is it? When is it? Is the heading. Who is it? Just click on that down arrow. It's Megan Finder. You know that from the directions. What is it? It's a net worth statement. We just went over one. When is it? Current date, because they don't have a date up here. So you just choose the one that says current. All right, in our net worth section, we have an assets section. So we have an assets, and then we list the two, cash and scooter. Why we list them that way? It's just because that's the way they want. Usually somebody said, well, you know, it used to be because you list them by how liquid they can get, which liquid means how fast you can turn the asset into cash. So obviously cash is the fastest because it's already cash. So we list two assets, cash and scooter. Up here you see $800 and $2,000. You list them both. You have a section called total assets that you add those two up to get 2,800. I can maybe zoom in. You haven't a hard time. So that's the asset section. Total assets, 2,800. Then you go to liabilities, and you have JC Auto, River College as its two liabilities. They mention those, as you remember, up in their instructions. So then you go back down and you fill that out. You get a liability section. We're putting JC, JYCEE. And then you're going to have River College for 125 for a total of $1,045. Again, if it's too hard to see, maybe next time sit in like second row. I don't know. I can have a hard time making it any bigger without making it so small you got to scroll all the time. And then the net worth, if you remember, is total assets minus total liabilities, 2,800 minus 1,045 equals 1,755. And again, I like having a calculator out. We used to have these all laying around the room. We can't now because of Corona. But I like this better than using a phone or the computer. But you guys can use whatever you want. But I would suggest having one because I think it's helpful. Any questions? Excuse me, with net worth? You guys good on it? Okay. All right, so then normally you'll do the application problem, but I want to keep moving on, so we'll give you time at the end to do the application problem, okay? You guys good with that? Okay. All right, so let's take a look. 1-2, let's go over 1-2. Or do you guys want to do the application problem real quick? Just get it over with? Go ahead and get it over with. Down here where it says apply your understanding, click on application problem 1-1, just so you know, you got to keep getting used to moving around in here. The application problem is goes 1-1 goes to the section. The directions are down here. They filled out everything in there. Oh, I gotta change the date. No, I don't. September 6th, right? Yeah, you guys are okay. Or no? I want to make sure the date's closed. Just give me a second so you don't do it and it doesn't let you, because I have a date closed. Due date, we'll put September 6th. Okay. Now refresh your screen, just refresh it in case I change the due date. And then go ahead and do that application problem. I'm not gonna do it with you. We just did that, work together, but I can talk to you through a little bit of it. They give you the, well, now I can't even scroll down. They give you the directions and they type everything in. You guys just gotta fill in the numbers, right? That's pretty harmless. So we'll give you a few minutes, right? And then we'll move on. Give you a few minutes to do it. And then we'll move on to Any problems or questions with that? Net worth is the assets minus the liability. Yep, net worth is assets minus liabilities. Guess I didn't do attendance or introduce myself or anything. Elliot's here. Does Faith go to this period a lot? Faith, you up there? Sorry. I got some people that, even if they're in the wrong alphabet, they go, I can't remember. Andrea? Andrea? Am I saying that wrong? Maybe she goes to Cody's here. Sarah? Over there. Saya? Am I saying that right? Sia, sorry. Samantha? Yep. Nyla. Was Andrea here last time? Okay. Sometimes I have some students, because even though they have the alphabet, like their siblings or rides or something, they go a different day. I can't remember. They don't give us those. It's stupid. I didn't introduce myself. I guess my name is Mr. Enkenius. You can call me Hank or Mr. Age. Some of you have had class and coach. Some of you haven't. So hopefully we can take these masks off eventually and have some fun, but I don't know. It's hard to function and do all this. It's a weird school year, but we'll make the most of it. Are we okay to go on to 1-2? Okay. Why don't you guys bring up 1-2 instructions. They always have a learning objective or two that you can look at if you want. I don't always spend a ton of time on it. We used to have a bunch of teaching experts that say if you put these in the classroom, everybody would read them all over the walls, and I don't think any of that mattered. I'd ask all my good students. I go, do you guys think you get smarter if you read the learning objective on the board that day? And like, no. Like, okay. But they're there. Okay. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Sorry, I just got them all on. It's all highlighted on one course. I gotta transfer that yet. So 1-2. Now I gotta go backwards. I had it all set up. All right. So Delgado, as mentioned before, he's got his own personal website that he's working on, friends, and building his websites. So he is performing as a service business. Okay, a business that performs an activity for a fee, lawn service, a haircut place. Now, a lawn service place, you can always probably buy some products. A hair salon or something like that, you also can buy products, but they will have different strands of revenue. They'll keep track of their, just like at a golf course, they keep track of their tee time revenue, they keep track of the range balls, they hit different keys, they keep track of their beverage sales, food sales, products, whatever. But for our purposes, Michael Delgado, we are doing a service business that is a proprietorship or a sole proprietorship, meaning it is owned by one person, okay? All this in here basically is just talking about proprietorship. So all the assets, all the money they make is his. He's not sharing it with anybody. He's the sole owner. He might have to pay like staff. That'd be like a salary expense. But he's the only one. Okay, so he legally has to take, responsibility. He's got to make all the decisions. One of the benefits, of a corporation, even a small corporation, is somebody might be really good at the sales part. Somebody might be real good at the doing part. Okay. Have you guys ever heard of a thing called an LLC? An LLC is called a limited liability corporation. A lot of people that start small companies will start multiple LLCs. So for example, my dad grew up on a farm. He you know, then went to college, whatever, and then got a job, and then his parents die, you know, grandma and grandpa die, and they leave the farm to the 8 siblings, my dad and 7 brothers and sisters. Well, so they own the farm. Instead of having one of them just do it, they put it, one of my uncles is a lawyer, and they put the farm into what's called an LLC. So that way Cody doesn't go hunting on our land, trip, fall, and break his neck, and then sue us. And then they sue everybody, you know, all they lose everything. It's just the corporation that is they're suing because it's LLC. So you guys will get older. So I have some friends that are got into real estate, and then they buy like a duplex or a fourplex. So if we got us 4 went together and bought a fourplex, we all throw money in, you would put it into an LLC. So then the LLC is responsible for any repairs, for anything, and then we could take money out. You know, they pay the rent in there, we pay the mortgage through that. But that way we're not personally held responsible. The sole proprietor, on the other hand, he's got to do all these losses. It's all him, but so is all the advantages. Okay. So that's all it is. Service, what's a service business? Sole proprietorship. I'm not going to read this to you, but this kind of explains all the different items that go along with, or all the different small little synopsis of Michael's fees, description, marketing. He's going to have some artwork people that he's going to charge work to. He's going to do some work that people will charge money to have him do it, and he'll send them a bill like, hey, can you fix up my website? Yeah, it'll take me 3 hours, sends them the bill, and then they pay him. That kind of thing. Okay. So that's kind of the first page of that. This we usually wouldn't cover, but it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I can't remember if compound interest on the test or not, but I just thought it was an interesting little aspect of things. You guys hopefully know what interest is. Interest is when you have, you borrow money and then the cost of borrowing the money. If you make more money, which is an unfortunate situation, but that's the case. You make more money, you usually get a lower interest rate if you're responsible and pay your bills on time. Now, if you don't make much money or you pay your bills late all the time, you might get in trouble because you're going to be seen as not as safe as a loan chance as somebody who has who's in a different boat. So the interest might go up, interest rates, and it doesn't seem like there's much difference between 5 and 3. But if you do, any kind of crazy math with the house, if you buy used to be a thing called interest equals principal times rate times time. So if you bought, anybody got a calculator, $300,000 house times 0.05 times 30 years, you figure out a number. It'd be crazy. My calculator is solar. That's one of the problems. 0.05 times 30. You're going to pay $450,000 worth of interest. So that house is going to cost you $750,000. If you got a 5%, over 3 years, which is 30 years, which sucks, right? Wait a minute, I thought about 300. Well, yeah, but over this crazy long period of time. But if you got a $300,000 loan times 3% times 30, instead of what did I say, 270,000? I mean, look at all that money. 180 grand less. That 2% is 180 grand less. It's a huge amount of money. So interest is important. Okay. And I just wanted to put that the amount that you have to pay to use their money. Compound interest is kind of interesting because it's the way you can kind of create money. You keep saving it. You keep building upon it. If you got like a bond or something that got you 2% interest or 4% interest and it never got bigger or smaller, it always got that. They have this rule of 77, which basically says if you got 4% interest every year, it take you 72 divided by the interest rate. Take you 18 years to double your money without doing anything to it. Okay. And if you kept putting more and more money in it, you know, it'd keep adding to it or whatever. But that's just it. Nothing fancy. I just want to talk to you about interest real quick. All right, we get back into it. One of the things I wanted to show you in our class, this general account movements doesn't, oh yeah, I had to put it in here. I'll show you that in a minute, I guess. I thought that was supposed to be gone. Info for the week. Somewhere there are accounting concepts. Here we go. Accounting concepts I typed out for you. So you see these different accounting concepts. You have a bunch of them that are there that will help reinforce why we're doing certain things. We have historical costs, we got unit of measurement, we got objective evidence, there's a bunch of them. But I gave them to you in your class so that they're always there. You can always use them on your tests. Usually there'll be a test question about blah, 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 is the accounting concept of objective evidence, and that would be source documents, okay, or whatever they might be, whatever. But they're here for you so that you don't have to memorize them, but they kind of help you. You get the idea behind it, but you're going to use these as references. You can always use it. Now, I also said you can use your book, right? So it's going to be in the chapter prior. You'll see these things. But I didn't want you to not know about that. I'm giving those to you so that you can always have them, okay? They're also in the back of the book, like Appendix 9 or something. Generally accepted accounting practices, these principles that we use. There's a bunch of them, excuse me. But basically what they are, they're rules, standards, procedures that we have to follow that help us organize, manage, become better accountants, use them to follow the rules so that everybody kind of understands what the processes are. One of the examples they show is a common unit of measurement, so they call it the unit of measurement concept or principle. One company is not in the United States isn't going to use what they're going to journalize as the amount of stuff, like 500 barrels of, Kool-Aid or whatever. No, they're going to use how much it costs to sell that 500 barrels. So unit of measurement would be the accounting concept, generally accepted accounting concept, unit of measurement. That just means we're using dollars. Okay. Okay, good. My computer. There's one that's business entity. Like I said, there's all those ones I showed you. Just as long as you understand that you don't have to memorize them, you have them. And you can use it. You can use your book to look them up, or use the Google Classroom to look them up. Okay, and they're just standards, rules, accountants follow, report information. You guys are good with that? Okay, excellent. This just shows you careers in accounting. We're going to move on. There's plenty of different jobs. Obviously, you can be, if you had a background in accounting, you can do a darn near a bunch of different things. All right, so now we're into a thing called accounting equation. This is good. The accounting equation is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Okay. The left side, right side. If you see this, it kind of looks like a T account, like a T, and that's kind of like a little tool that we use to kind of help people learn. We already know that, or we're learning anything of value is an asset, right? Kind of did that last time with our net worth. Assets are values that we can use to either acquire more assets. So in other words, I can spend cash, thing of value, asset, to buy insurance, a thing of value, an asset. I can use cash to buy supplies, merchandise, right? So those are things of value. Financial rights to the assets of a business are called equities. You're going to need to know that. So owner's equity means that that financial stuff that you have, the ownership of this sole proprietorship is mine. As a sole proprietorship, all the equity is yours. All the sweat equity, it's not some partner. You don't have a partner. It's not a corporation with a bunch of investors that are putting money in. It's you, right? So equity is for whom the money is owed. Sometimes we will owe money, and we'll call that equity a liability, which means I'll owe somebody money. But most of the time, the equity is the owner. Michael Delgado is the owner of this sole proprietorship. So all the equity, all the money that is made after paying all the bills is his. That makes sense? That's his sweat equity, the money he put in. So the amount remaining after the value subtracted from the assets is called, of liabilities is subtracted from the assets called owner's equity. And it's just what you did last time. What was that? That was called net worth, right? On that problem. You guys did 2 of those. And again, I'm never going to tell you to do the on your own because we're going to be crunched for time. If you ever want to do an extra practice one, do the on your own. Okay, the relationship among assets, liabilities, owner's equity is written in the accounting equation. The accounting equation shows the relationship between these. That's why that's there and there. Assets equals assets, things of value, equal the liabilities, the people we owe money to, the accounts payables, plus all the owner's equity, the amount of money they invested, minus their expenses, minus their drawing, personal expenses, whatever the case may be. This equation needs to equal. It's very important. We might, every time we do a transaction, 2 accounts, at least 2 accounts are being changed. Could be 2 assets, could be 2 liabilities, could be one on this side, one on that side, just depends. And that's what we're going to be learning. We need anything about thinking like an accountant. So now we go to receiving cash. Okay. We are going to get into one of our first transactions. You can see there it says transaction 1. All right, it has the owner, the accounting equation up top so we can remember it. Then it has beginning balances. Okay, the zeros. Then we're going to put the transaction. They're going to give us a transaction. So in this case, it says receive cash from the owner as an investment, $2,000. Well, then we're going to have the balances in one line. We're going to put the 2 accounts that are affected, at least 2, but most of the time for us right now, it's just 2. 2 accounts are affected, and then we need to get new balances. Okay. It says here, anytime a business spends or owns money, engages in business activities, this business activity we need to record. It's called, the accountants call any business activities, changing assets, liabilities, a transaction. So we're going to have a transaction that will say the receive cash from the owner. We have to start this business. So the owner puts $2,000 in. It's his money, right? Michael Delgado, he's starting it, it's only him. So he puts $2,000 in. It's his capital, it's his owner equity, right? So it's his money, so that's plus 2,000. Cash he put in was $2,000, right? So cash went up. We have balances of 0. Now we need to take 0 plus 2,000 to get 2,000. 0 plus 0, 0. 0 plus 2,000 is 2,000. This line equals 2,000 equals this 2,000. So the accounting equation remains equal to each other. Does that make sense? This explains it a little bit, so we can kind of walk through it. There's I don't know why I didn't put a capital account balance as a red, but What is an account? It's a record that summarizes a bunch of different transactions pertaining to that particular account, single item in the accounting equation. The account has a title, cash, supplies, insurance, whatever the case may be. These accounts, these records that summarize these transactions about this certain item, sales, whatever the account title is, we will also want an account balance. So an account title, account balance, all kind of makes sense. Cash, this is the account, the title, and this is the balance, right? So it kind of makes sense. It talks about the transaction at debt. It says the asset cash is increased by 2,000. The increase is on the left side of the equation. The difference between the increase and decrease is called the account balance. So that's what you saw over here on the left side. On the right side, it says the account used to summarize the owner's equity is called the capital account. So over here, where you saw Michael Delgado capital, owner's equity is the big idea. Capital is going to be the money he put in under the owner's equity, okay? So his capital, his sweat equity went up $2,000. And so that's what they're talking about there. The left side of the accounting equation must always equal the right side of the accounting equation. True or false? True. You'll always answer that true. The left side of the accounting equation always equals the right side. True or false? True. Okay, so you all right with that question? Because you guys will be asked to journalize this. You'll be at journalize, I guess. Show the increase, $2,000 for capital and cash when you see this transaction. Is that okay? All right. Fantastic. All right, now we got two more transactions we're going to learn. What do you see here in this part, these two? They're underneath assets, right? They're on this side of the accounting equation. So supplies are things of value, and prepaid insurance are things of value. They're both going to be considered assets. So when we get a transaction that says paid cash for supplies, when you pay cash, what happens to cash? Does cash go up or go down when you spend money? It goes down. So you will subtract cash. We had $2,000. We subtracted the supplies, $165. We now have a new balance. Does that make sense? Why you have 1835 there? But you also gained an asset because what you paid cash, so cash went down, what'd you gain? Supplies. Before you didn't have any supplies, now you have $165 worth of supplies. So you will increase the supplies. The accounting equation has two things on the same side. If you have two things on the same side, one must go up and one must go down, right? If you have three or four things used, then that'd be different. But for that makes sense because what we say, the accounting equation, assets equals liabilities owner's equity, must equal, correct? Well, it still does. If this was 2,000, and I spent $1 here, but I added $1 here on the same side, it'd be even, right? That's what we just did. The next paragraph talks about it. In this transaction, two assets are changed. The asset account is decreased. The decrease is on the left side. When this transaction changes, they're both on the left side. One, in order to make the equation equal, one must be increased and the other one must decrease. When changes are made on only one side of the equation must still be in balance, which means one account is increased and another account on the same side is decreased. Okay, and that's what happened with supplies. You all right with supplies? The next one then is paid cash for insurance. Paid cash for insurance. Okay, we call it prepaid insurance. That's what's up here. Prepaid insurance. Whenever you pay cash, it's a negative to the asset cash, usually, right? Paid cash. What are you gaining? Insurance for the same amount, allowing your accounting equation to still equal, right? Now we have a balance of 0 plus 900 is 900 for insurance. We had 0 plus 165 for 165 before. We add that to 0. We still got $165 with supplies. And then we subtract the 900 in cash. But 935 plus 165 plus 900 equals 2,000 bucks. So the accounting equation still equals. Okay? And they're telling you pay cash for insurance. And they're just talking about it here. What I just talked about, that's what they're telling you here. Premiums are recorded ahead of time. You pay 6 months worth of insurance. It's an asset, something of value. You ask anybody that, that's what a lot of people won't retire because they don't want to pay for insurance. Insurance would be 10,000 bucks or whatever. They don't want to retire because then they got to come up, they want half the retirement. Oh, whatever, going to insurance. Not half, but whatever. All right, so you're going to have, those are 3 transactions. Now we got one more. This might be it. Yep, okay. So the last transaction we're going to do. Transactions on account. What's that mean? On account simply means you either sold something on account or bought something on account. On account means going to buy or purchase later. The common practice to buy items, pay for them at a future date is referred to as buying on account. Elliot owns a store, hardware store. I go in there and charge a bunch of tools. He's going to let me buy, but I'm going to pay. He's going to bill me for them. I'm not going to have to pay him. He'll bill me them. That's buying on account. It's an arrangement between 2 business allows to pay now, to buy now and pay later. Excuse me. So it says January 5th, transaction 4, bought supplies on account from Canyon Office Supplies. Cash is not involved because we bought it on account. We didn't pay cash for supplies. We bought on account. So on account means we increase a bill. When we purchase something on account, that'll increase an accounts payable, which is a liability. So before we called owner's equity, the sweat equity of the Michael Delgado's company, Capital, is the account that goes for that. What we're going to call is not like Canyon Office Supply liability. We're going to call it accounts payable. And then the name of the company, Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy. Accounts payable, this time they said Canyon Office Supply. So all we do is write account payable Canyon Office Supply. And account payable means it's a liability. Okay? And then what happened? We increased supplies. We bought $200 of supplies, so we increased supplies. If you add 220 to this side and you add 220 to that side, that means the accounting equation equals, correct? Again, you got to get the balance. You drop 935 down. You don't even have to put zeros. 935, or maybe you do in there, problem, I can't remember. 165 plus 220 gives you balance. 900 comes down. We have 220, $2,000, so the accounting equation still equals. A person, a business to whom a liability is owed is called a creditor. So we owe money to somebody, they're creditor. Okay. They talk about it here. The word payable refers to a liability that's promised to pay a future payment. Accounts payable is how we're going to say it. These paragraphs just talk about what we just talked about. You can highlight it all or not at all. I don't know, it just kind of depends. It's like reading the chart, kind of. Paid cash on account. So before, what did we do? We bought supplies on account, meaning we charged something. Now we're paying off the bill, paying cash on account. When you see paying cash, you know cash is being decreased. When you see on account, you know something was paid for before, and then you got to deal with it. So paid cash on account, or something was sold before. In this case, it's paying cash means we're paying off a bill. Paid a cash on account to Canyon office supplies. Well, before we charged $220 a Canyon. Uh-oh, okay, good. Now we're paying off 100 of that bill. In this transaction, one asset, one liability are changed. Cash goes down, accounts payable goes down. How do you make accounts payable go down? Subtract. How do you make cash go down? Subtract. That means you're doing the same thing on opposite sides, right? Before we added 220 to both sides, now we subtracted 100 from both sides. You okay with that? That's a lot of info. It kind of just explains it. All right, let's take a look at our problems. 1, 2, working papers. Now, if you click on this pin, I just did it, screwed it up. Oh no. Go back. All right. On the work together, let's look at the work together. If you click on this little pin guy here, you guys have that? And you can move your directions. Sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not, just depends. Okay. So, I already filled this out, so that's kind of crappy, so don't do it. I mean, we'll just go one at a time, maybe. I can't. That's all right. But it says for each transaction, put a plus in the appropriate column, minus in the appropriate column. This shows a decrease or an increase. And so these are 5 transactions or 4 transactions we learned. We learned 5. It says bought supplies on account. What 2 accounts are being used? Supplies goes up. So what is supplies? It's an asset, right? And then what goes up? Our bill. When we buy on account, that means we'll pay later. When we purchase something on account, that means when we pay it later. So that's a bill that is increased. So we add an asset and add a liability. Does that make sense? So then for the next problem, you're going to be asked to do pluses and minuses depending on what it is. So this one says receive cash from the owner's investment. That's an easy one. Whenever we receive cash, you automatically are increasing an asset, right? Now, what we say owner as an investment, that's the capital, that's the investor. In our case, that's Michael Delgado, or in this, yeah, we don't have a lot of times the problems will have somebody different. Whoever the problem person is, that's their equity. It's their sweat equity. Sorry. So you gotta hit an increase to owner's equity. Sound cool? Any problem with those first 2? All right. Paid cash for insurance. When you see cash, what happens? Paid cash. That's a negative. That means cash is lowering the asset, right? If I had $10, I paid $1, my cash goes down, now I only have 9. Paid cash lowers an asset. But it says paid cash for insurance. So what happens to, what's the other account being used? Insurance is an asset, so we have to do a plus. They're both on the same side, right? Subtract cash, but you add assets. Both on the same side of that accounting equation, so it should equal, right? Pay cash on account. Whenever you pay cash, lowers the asset. Okay, well, how do you lower an account payable liability? You pay it off, take away from it. Minus, the accounting equation still equals. Plus, accounting equation, plus, plus and minus on the same sign means it's back to normal, right? As long as you do the same amounts. Is there any questions with the 1, 2 work together? Don't do that on your own. Scroll down to apply your understanding and do the 1, 2. Application 1, 2. So application problem 1, 2. I'm not going to do it with you, but they're going to give you 8 different transactions here. Owner's investment, so 2 of them are the same. Pay cash for insurance, pay cash for supplies. We just did one of those in our work together. 2 of those are pretty close to the same. Bought supplies on account, Those 2 are the same. Paid cash on account to Hickman Mowing, paid cash on account to Nat. Those 2 are the same. So you will need to do this. Now, what I will tell you, I've got it all. I will do one with you. Okay. So what's it say? Bethany Hartman's starting Hartman's Lawn Service. Bethany, excuse me. We need to analyze each transaction, put a plus if it increases, minus if it decreases, and then enter the amount. We need a new balance before we go on to the next transaction. All right, perfect. So they give us a example. I need to get this pen. Can't see. Nope, that's not going to work, is it? All right. How do I get it so I can move over? Jeez. Hate this. There's got to be a way to move over. Ugh. Sorry. Oh my God, I just got kicked out of the whole class. Okay, I'll just leave it alone. Got it too zoomed in. Actual size. There we go. Okay. All right. So we need to put these in these. You guys don't have X's next to yours, do you? Cody's the only one. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to fill this in, but that's fine. So the first transaction said receive cash from owner's investment, right? $5,000. They said they did the one for you. You have to read instructions. They will help you. No one's ever read instructions too often and said, boy, I've got dumber. It'll only help you a little bit. So what they want you to do is put the transaction, what has gone up and down for, and then the new balance. So we start, everything was 0, right? Then we added $5,000 to cash because we received cash from the owner as an investment. $5,000 cash means the new balance is $5,000. 0, 0, 0, 0. We have to fill in. You see where the balance is? This balance needs to be all new numbers, or at least brought down. 0 plus 5,000 is 5,000. The accounting equation equals. Okay. Second one, paid cash for insurance, $1,800. Okay, so what two counts are being affected? Oh, I can't type it. Unbelievable. What class am I in? For the third time. Okay. So what two accounts are being used? We said we paid cash for insurance, $1,800. So I want to, in the to line, we need to put, I think, minus 1,800. Yeah. And what went up? Insurance. I can't hit plus. Do I got to do it there? I should look. I don't know what that problem is. Says we're supposed to be able, can you guys put a plus sign there? Yeah or no? Should I supposed to put the minus sign there then? I don't know. That's very confusing to me. Sorry. So then we need to put the new current balances. So this would be 3,200. That'll be 0. This is 1,800, right? 0, 0, 5,000. You guys agree? You subtract 18 from 5, get 2, 32. 32, 0, 18, 0, 5, yeah. So in the next transaction, bought supplies on account from Hickman Mowing, $700. Fantastic. Bought supplies on account. So what goes up? Supplies goes up. What did I say how much? $700. We bought $700 worth of supplies. We bought it from Hickman. So that means we went and increased a bill to $700 to Hickman Mowing. So now we got to get our balances. And you just use the tab key if you want. But the balance line, if you see this, has to have this line has to have numbers. The transaction line needs to have the two accounts that are being affected. Okay, does that make sense? All right. Now double check, you guys go ahead. I'm not gonna do this whole problem with you. This is kind of, we went through the work together, you did it. You guys do transactions 4 through 8. Are we out of here at 1:40? Okay, we gotta go. So we have class on Friday, right? Yep. So if you go to the bottom, scroll to your assignment to the bottom, should say save and continue. Don't click the check once, hit the save and continue one. Is that cool? Now, we're gonna have to speed demon through some of this stuff, but Friday we got class and the other classes don't, which is fine. So we'll be okay. So Friday we'll do this. We'll do section 1, 3, and then you might have some homework before the test, but that's okay. Later. I gotta disinfect, so I'll clean up your computers. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. So do we only see you Friday? Is that right? Or we see you Wednesday? Yeah, we'll see you Wednesday, and then we'll have the test on Friday.
No, we see,
No,
we come again Friday.
Friday,
Wednesday.
and then test this next week, yes.
it's also damn confusing.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
It's retarded. I gotta stop recording.
Yeah, good.